us on a journey through darkness will bring light. Rural Report is here, guiding us through the night.
Hello again and welcome back everybody to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC and I want to do another rural chat, another one of the ugly truths about SHTF. Now, we've gone through and we've talked about so much over the years on this channel, and we have covered quite a bit of ground. A lot of times I do my best to come up with new things to talk about. Sometimes we need to take a step back and rehash a few things or cover some of the fundamentals and revisit some of the stuff. But this one, I think, is going to be another one of the new things. One of the things that I don't think gets a lot of attention. I don't think it gets talked about very much. And I would even venture to guess that there's probably a few that's not even really given it much thought. You can probably guess by the title of it is Friend Turns Foe. And one of the things that comes to this is when we talk about SHTF scenarios, you can go through and you can insert whatever scenario here, whether it be a personal SHTF like death in the family, a job loss, maybe the house burns down, something along those lines. Maybe it's more of a localized, maybe it's a hurricane, a flood, something along those. Maybe it's bigger. Maybe it's some sort of nationwide societal collapse, maybe a financial collapse, civil unrest, different things like that. But let's go into the scenario of whatever the SHTF event is, it's happened. And so we are trying to go through and survive and come out the other end. And when we do that, we have to start looking at where we are for us as ourselves. Whether you're in this alone, whether you're in this with just your family, whether you're in this with maybe, a couple of neighbors, or maybe you have built a team or a mag, there is outsiders. Okay, it's not everybody all in it together, as much as I myself and probably some of you would like that if something happens that everybody just kind of bands together and kind of muscles their way through it. But any SHTF is going to bring about stress. And when we talk about something like this, stress is something that happens, and when it hits people in different ways. And a lot of times what it does is it starts to amplify those existing tensions and flaws between relationships. So you have a neighbor, or you have some sort of somebody that maybe is close to you, um, in a location area, and maybe it was something that happened 5 years ago. Somebody borrowed a shovel, and the handle was broken, or they borrowed the lawnmower and didn't fill the gas all the way back up, or something. There was something. It was small at the time. You were angry about it, but whatever. Or maybe vice versa. You did it to them. It really wasn't that big of a deal. The relationship, was not going to end over that. Time passed. Everybody kind of just got over it. uh, Maybe not. Okay. And maybe it's some of those flaws. Maybe somebody's a good person. They come over and they help out. Anytime that you ask for a cup of sugar, here you go, neighbor. Maybe it's one of those that they come over and they're like, hey, I had some unexpected thing. Can I get $20 for gas? Absolutely. And you have one of those relationships, but maybe they do some off-color jokes that you just do not approve of and you don't really like. I mean, overall, they're a good person. Maybe they are somebody that does whatever this event, or partake in this, or insert thing here. It's not really your business. It doesn't really affect anything. You just overlook it because for the most part they're good. Okay, but that's flaws in the relationship. And why do I bring this up is because as the SHTF event goes, as things start to unfold, and maybe it's not a short term, maybe it's a long term. So now we get into week after week, and those weeks turn into months. you start getting competition for resources. Okay. And that becomes a very kind of like a constant factor that you have to really think about. If you're prepared, you still probably don't have a year's worth of water stored. Okay. Um, and so you're probably going to go out maybe to a local stream or maybe to a pond or something along those lines so you can get water, even if it's just to water your plants or something along those lines. You're probably still going to go out to forage, maybe to hunt, maybe to get firewood and things like that. And so you are in competition for resources. Well, you and everybody else around you are going to do what they can to get those same exact resources. If you start talking those months really going out to where now you're getting into a year, year and a half, you're really going to start constraining those. And when you start getting people that are barely hanging on at the beginning, suddenly their survival instincts kick in. This leads to that whole self preservation mindset. And those things that we talked about, those flaws and those tensions and all that, that starts to surface. Okay. That, last 2, 3, 4 years where it's been, hey, how are you doing? Or here's your cup of sugar. Yeah, that kind of goes out the window. Okay. And when we start kind of going into this, when you are around people and it's a time of peace, you can have things like differences in values, differences in priorities, difference of religion, different. You can have all sorts of that stuff, and it's fine. Okay, you do you, I do me. We're civil and nice to each other, and all that. We can get along. We can be adult about everything, and everything's good. The only thing is, though, is again, you start getting into that conflict of resources. All of a sudden, these past grievances that they've had, they start to resurface. All these tensions and all that, the difference of values start to surface. You start getting it to where priorities change, and that really just kind of exacerbates existing tensions that were already there in the first place, but were overlooked. And then once you get into that, even though you're doing your best to continue to like overlook all this, we're trying to bring about as much peace as possible because conflict, physical conflict is really not good for anybody. Well, then you start getting into mistrust. And once you have a certain level of mistrust, that starts to bring about paranoia. Once you get into paranoia, that starts to breed suspicions. Suspicions then all of a sudden give birth to accusations. Now you start getting into verbal conflicts, maybe physical conflicts, and that all just ends very, very badly. So, the seeds of discord can be sown and grow quite rapidly. So we have to be careful about all this because who we look around and we call friend now may not be friend. Okay. Once that hits the fan, just because you're neighborly or just because you're in the area, they're in your neighborhood or anything along those lines. And, if it was just a random Tuesday, you wouldn't have any second guess about walking down the street or walking maybe into their yard or knocking on their door or asking them a favor or something like that. And that kind of brings about that we have to learn to kind of navigate this storm that all this is kind of creating between everybody. And communication is going to be very, very crucial. And when we talk about this, because a good communication plan and good communication skills is going to be crucial to not only hopefully prevent these, but maybe even talking a way out, maybe a resolution to what's going on. Um, Getting things to where you start seeing the signs of people are getting desperate or their priorities change. Your friendship is not worth the person that they love and care about. That's they're trying to take care of and make sure that they survive. They're more important than you, and kind of rightfully so, right? We all kind of have that mentality that for me. Little rural, I'm going to do anything and everything that I possibly can to make sure that he sees the other side. And so, yes, I'm not going to go around and start backstabbing people and doing things like that. But you get a scared, non prepared parent and watch the level of desperation to, see a starving child and watch the lengths that they will go. That whole don't poke mama bear. It's just one of those things. And so if we can start into that communication, when we start seeing some of the signs or we see that, there is a potential for some of that conflict, that's where communication comes into where we can start addressing it and start making it very, very clear of the boundaries of personal space, of different things. Look, you've got this going on. I can see that this is probably going to be a problem or potentially going to be a problem. We're going to have to do something so that way our interactions are, a lot lessened if we can go that route. Maybe there is a stream nearby, and you go, look, uh, there's no reason to fight over the ownership of this. Um, I will take before noon, and you can have afternoon. And that way it is shared. There's plenty of water. It's not like it's going to, dry up or anything along those lines, and you can peacefully have a resolution to where everybody has the access to water while not creating a tensioned environment or an environment to where conflict is going to happen. Um, Forgiveness and empathy and things like that, I don't know if SHTF is really going to be abundant with those two things. They're key to start rebuilding trust and things like that. But I don't know if you have the high tension, high stress, the constant worrying and everything like that, that too many people are going to be the forgive and forget and be very empathetic and all that. So but that brings us kind of back around. So, really, the importance of all this is, again, planning. Okay. We're preppers, we are preparing for all of this. And so, to have that plan prepared to where you have communications protocols and, what to do in conflict situations and start seeing the signs and things like that. Um, Maybe go through and reevaluate the people that are around you. Start drawing those rings around your house when you do an area study. The people that you can look out your front and back door, those are the ones that we want to try and make sure that we have a good level of trust and open communication with, because those are the most immediate to us. Then you start going a little ways away and make sure that the people in those, who is it? If there's a person there that they're just mean and rude already, you need to be prepared for that. Okay. When SHTF happens, they're probably not just going to become the nicest person there is. Could they? Yeah, sure. Anything's possible, but we also have to be prepared for the other way. You can have Mrs. Smith who bakes cookies and gives them to people, always out making sure that the kids have a ball to play with or a frisbee to throw, and just everything's nice about her. You get her desperate or you get her scared where emotion starts to creep in, and guess what? Mrs. Smith can become a lot of people's worst nightmare. So we just got to make sure that we're aware of all this. um, Another thing to think about is defining the roles and responsibilities within the group. Okay, we have to assess each member of our group and know we all have flaws, we all have characteristics, and we all have our good and our bad. Do you have a member that is, quick to temper, that doesn't stand down? It's one of those, do I take them with me when I go over here? Because chances are they are probably going to start a conflict. We all know those people that just absolutely speak their mind no matter what. They don't hold their tongue, even when the situation calls for it. And, sometimes that's not a bad thing, but sometimes it can mean life or death. So we have to be very, very careful. Do you have somebody that's the complete opposite? They hold their tongue when they should speak up. Do they back down? Are they very submissive? That can also be bad. Okay. So we have to make sure that we go through and we find the right people. Do you have somebody that is very articulate, very, very quick on their feet and can think? Are they good at difficult interactions? Are they somebody that can go into a high tensioned environment and be able to, at least take it back a notch? Let's walk back a few steps. Let's see if we can work something out and maybe start getting all those. Look, when this happens, we all know, even you admit it, you're very, very short tempered. You need to be a little ways away, maybe not all the way, but a little ways away to where you don't make things worse. Same thing with the person that is extremely backwards and quiet and all that. You probably shouldn't be up on the front line, because if they have that quick tempered person, maybe it's a sign of weakness. Maybe it's something that gives that person even more confidence to be more rude and a jerk, and that starts getting other people that normally would keep a cool and level mind. Maybe they start getting angry and things like that. So, but we talked about this too, and I do want to retouch on this really quick before we end. Is to go through and establish those clear guidelines for places that people are going to congregate. It's anything that's going to be abundance of resources. If there's a berry bush or a patch of strawberries, or there's a small orchard of an apple trees and things like that, if there's a river, a stream, a pond, a good place that is for fishing, or a field for hunting, or anything along those lines. It is technically nobody's property, but it is resources, and most of those is more resources than you can use. And so it is going to definitely be a shared kind of communal area. If we can't get along with the people that's going to partake in that, then we need to figure out what we're going to do about it. Obviously, most of us want to be diplomatic. We want to use diplomacy. We want to use our words, and we want to try and do our best to divvy it up. Look, you take this, and you take this time of day. I'm going to do this. You want to do this time of day, and we're just going to try and go through it. We don't wish ill will towards anybody that's like that. Obviously, maybe you've lived for the last 5-10 years next to them, and there was no conflict, there was no danger, there was no anything along those lines. But now the circumstances have changed, and starvation is a factor, dehydration is a factor, all that. And so now that things have changed, it becomes into that if both groups go through SHTF and we both survive together, there's a really good, highly likely that we're going to stay where we are, and things will go back. We'll be neighbors again. We're all different. We all come from different races, religions, backgrounds. We all have different experiences and different things that we have gone through in our life. Um, some of them we know about, some of them are kept secret. Some people, go through and they tell their life story. Others pick and choose. Others want to keep very, very quiet. And it's one of those, you have a person that's extremely proud of the religion, and it's all over their t-shirts, their home, their car, all that. Maybe you have somebody that's a very 2A advocate, and again, it's all over what they're wearing and their house and cars and all this. It's everywhere. I mean, that's fine, right? That's what makes America great, is that you can go through and broadcast what you're passionate about. You have somebody that is against that religion. Maybe they're of a different faith. Maybe they're an atheist and all that. They can overlook it. They're adults. Hey, you do you. I'm going to do me. I'm not going to shove what I believe down your throat. You don't do it to me. There's other things that we can come together about. Maybe you both enjoy a football game, or maybe there's a TV show and you guys can come together, and those differences don't matter. While you're in there doing something that you both enjoy, those differences don't matter. You can have somebody that's completely against 2A, but guess what? Both of them like to play around the golf. It doesn't matter. And certain things, yes, it will matter. If somebody is for something unspeakably evil and you have a very, very firm stance on that, hold to that. Okay. There is a few lines, even for me. You come to me and you say X, Y, and Z, I'm going to go, no, you need to leave immediately. most of everything else I can probably work around or look over to a certain extent, because I want as many people as possible to be able to come out to the other side, because eventually I want this to end. I want SHTF to end, and I want to become neighbors again. I want to become, friends and things like that. Whatever, it lasts 2 years, and everything's winding down. Things are becoming back to normal. I want it to be, 6 months, a year later. All of a sudden, I get a knock on the door. I open it up. Hey, Mr. Smith, what's going on? Hey, can I borrow your lawnmower? Absolutely. Here you go. I want to get back to that. And so, having that mindset that each person is out for themselves. If you stumble upon my property, I'm taking you out, or if you happen to know about my secret spot that has this wild growing berry patch or whatever, and you're taking my berries, even though there's 50 bushes of berries, I've got to do something about that. If you both survive, then it's going to end up coming to, even once society has come back, are you going to overlook that? You guys had a very bad conflict, went toe to toe. Maybe there was uh, different fists thrown, or projectiles launched, or different attempts to do harm and things like that. Once everything eventually goes back to normal, do you think 6 months or a year later it's just going to go back to a friendly wave and a smile? Probably not. So, there's going to be different situations, and it's going to come down to you to read that situation and know how to handle it. Now is the time to start practicing those run drills, war game it out, go through with your mag, have somebody be difficult. How do you handle that situation? Because it's going to show on both sides. How do they handle the difficult situation being difficult? How do you handle the situation trying to de escalate? Maybe have two people, and maybe somebody tried to step in to be a mediator. It's a really good thing, because difficult situations are going to arise. They rise in peacetime, and they're definitely going to arise in the not so peaceful time. So, but that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that you got something out of this. I don't think this is, again, one of the things that I think a lot of people talk about, or even most, I don't know if they've even thought about this, but I just wanted to cover it. So let me know down in the comment section below what your thoughts is. Do all the fun YouTube things that you know exactly what I'm talking about. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you have a blessed day. Stay tuned, because there's more information to come. And with that, remain united, because we're all prepping in this together.